guys, Dorothy here at Done by Dorothy, and I am here with another DIY. Really happy that, so many people enjoyed the acrylic sprays that we did with the apple barrel paint or folk art paint or whatever acrylic paint that you have, and the acrylic ink DIY. But we're back today with another mixed media DIY, and this actually is probably maybe one of my favorites. So we're going to go through it real fast. I will just walk you through really fast. This is a black silicone mat. I picked this up. I actually picked mine up at the Goodwill for like $3.99 or $3, something like that. You can buy them for $6, $7. Some are black, some are tan colored, some are clear. It's a silicone baking sheet. So let me see. I think I have the box here. Hold on. Oh no, mine's Teflon. You can get them in. I paid $2 for it, 50% off. So I paid $1 for this one. I have another one I paid $3 for. This is a Teflon oven liner. It's non-stick because it's Teflon. You can use the silicone just like your art mats that you have. They will work. So with this DIY, let me explain first, and then we'll get into materials and all that jazz. So this is a little piece that I've tore off. So you can see, it's just a little bitty cheap piece. But this is what it is. I don't know if you can hear that, but it feels like paper. It's sort of shiny on the back because it was on the Teflon mat, and that's fine. There is texture to it, and even more so over here. I mean, it's pretty tough. It folds just like paper. It will bend, curve around things, just like paper does. It tears just like paper does, except maybe a little bit easier than paper. I don't know if you can, I'm trying to see, it is paper thin. Maybe, I would say, about as thin as an index card, actually. I mean, if I hold those up side by side, I mean, you can see it's about the same thickness. This I actually used, let's see, I actually used classic caramel acrylic paint, which is why it's the brown color. Let me grab a piece of white paper just so you can compare. Here's a white piece of paper. So there's the brown. It's almost like a vintage photo type brown. And it, again, the color I used to get this, just in case you're interested in it, it's a multi-surface outdoor indoor apple barrel, which is the Walmart brand. 21981E classic caramel is what it's called. So I thought that was pretty neat. And I mean, we could use it for paper. You can make envelopes out of it. You can do whole pages with it. One thing I did not do, and I am looking, so give me a second. Let me see. I'm digging in my little divider here, trying to find something. And then let me grab my jar up here. Okay, so I have my jar in here. So there's a rolling ballpoint pen. There's a different type of pen. There's a pencil. A fine line Sharpie. Let me see. There's a regular Sharpie. So let's just see what we'll write on here. I mean, obviously, we'll see. We'll start with the pencil because, pencils are the best. I'm just going to write D by D because Done by Dorothy. Now, I am up at the top where it's a little rougher, so, but it does write on there. Pencil, I don't know if you guys can see that. It's right here. pencil does write on there. So pencil works on it. This is a gel based pen. And I always have to, it has to have a start. It's a little tougher than pencil. You have to go over it a little bit. I don't know if you, yeah, you could not do just one pass with that. Let me check the pencil. I think you could do one pass and it would actually be there if you actually put, yeah, the pencil you can actually write on it with one pass. So you can actually, you know, write in cursive or print or whatever. Then we'll try, this is just a standard ball. It does, not great, but you can write on it with a ballpoint pen. Of course, our Sharpies, if ballpoints are doing it, I'm sure our Sharpies will do fine. Yeah, the Sharpie fine line is fine. And then Sharpie there. Of course, it's going to depend on what color you use. I actually used, that Sharpie was a gray, so it may not have been the best color to use. I would say a fine line Sharpie or a Sharpie would be great. Pencil would be okay, but you know, you're going to have that wipe off. Yeah, it is going to smear with the pencil. Pens are fine, depending on what kind of pen that you used. Probably if you used a large, like a 1.0 or an 8.0, 7.0, you know, a bigger size. I'm trying to find, I'm getting in here, I'm trying to grab, I have just like a standard Bic. So let me, yeah, so see, the gray was a bad color to choose. So any colored marker is going to show, any colored Sharpie is going to show up good. I'm trying to get to my standard pencil over here, and, or my standard pencil, it's just a regular old pen, but of course, you know, if you're trying to get it out, it's not ever going to come out. And it's just, woohoo, I got pencils flying everywhere. Actually, oh, that's a blue one. I have all these colored pens. Okay, so this is just the standard. Yeah, it will write, a standard pen will write. You may have to go over some. It's going to depend on how smooth that you make your, I mean, obviously, if it's like the, you know, if it's real textured, you don't want to. But yeah, so let me hold that up so you can see all the different writing that we do. So yeah, you know, you can write on it just like paper. So there we go. So let's get with it. And I'll show you how to make this. And it's going to be awesome for layering and, you know, all that awesome stuff that we love to do. Okay, so, and you can tear it and, you know, use small little pieces in your journals and that type of thing. Now, I did write on the rough textured side. I don't know. Let me just grab this regular pen and see what it does on this really, really smooth side. Yeah, see that smooth side that was against the Teflon, it writes great. So that may be what, you know, if you want to write on it, you want to use the flat surface that was against whatever, you know, your substrate surface is. Use that smooth side and not so much where it's textured on the other side. Or spend a lot of time and flatten it out some more. Okay, so let's talk surfaces. You can use a Teflon mat, silicone mat. You can use parchment paper. You can even use, let me see, I have them here somewhere. Like the plastic packaging that like stamps and things come in, that like cellophane, you can use it too. The only thing I would suggest is you want to use some kind of non-stick surface. You don't want to use wax paper, because wax paper, for whatever reason, sometimes just doesn't work well. Okay, so we're gonna get started, and I'll, if I can quit dropping things. Now, actually, before we get there, let's have a chat. One thing to take note: normally my DIYs are like fix and use, fix and use. You know, our sprays we made right then, you could use it right then. This, which is why I sort of showed you like the pre-made thing in the beginning so you could see what it was like, because this has to dry. Not only does it have to dry, it has to dry like, it takes several hours to dry out. So what I do, and this is just me, I'll do, you know, whatever I'm going to do. This is something you want to make and then attach to your project. If you use, well, I didn't try our glitter glue. We'll just use these little pieces over here. If you use your glitter glue, Elmer's, just about any kind of glue, and it's going to hold it down. It holds down very well. So, you know, gluing is not an issue. You want to make this, you know, create it. Then after it's dried, add it to your project. If you are working on a journal and you grab it and you put it on your journal page, first, the liquid that's in here is going to seep through the back. So even if you pull it out and you have it on its own, the back is going to get real wet, which is going to cause warping of paper and all that kind of issue. Not just that, but if you have it in your journal, then you have to let it set. I actually let mine set overnight. I make a batch, put it on my sheet, and that's what I use this sheet for. Put it on this sheet, then I'd pick this sheet up, I carry it, I put it on a shelf that I have, you know, just make a space. I happen to use the top of a bookshelf, and lay it there, and the next day come back and get it. Like this, I made it probably 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock last night. When I got up at 5 o'clock this morning, it was dry. So that was 7 hours. I'm sure it was dry well before then. I was in bed, so I didn't care. But yeah, make this ahead. It's not a wait till the last minute to do. So I like to, when I do it, make a large batch. Then I have some made ahead of time because it does take so long. And then when I get down to I only have about a quarter of a batch left, then make another batch. And by the time you do that, you'll have, you know, some left over. So we are actually making fiber texture paste. I actually have a couple other texture paste videos that are going to be coming out in the next coming weeks, but this is the fiber texture paste. We have made, you know, the texture paste, the colored texture paste. We're stepping up the game. This is fiber texture paste. Now I will pull this out. This is what I made last night. This is what I have left over, and if you can see, it just looks like almost like a chocolate mousse, and it is gooey and sticky, and it's, you know, it doesn't smell bad. I mean, it smells, but it doesn't smell bad. But you can see it's almost like a mousse consistency. You need to make sure you store it in an airtight container. This happened to be, they have condensed chicken stock you can buy, or vegetable stock, or ham stock, or garlic butter stock, or whatever, or roasted garlic, at the grocery store, and they're like $2-3 for a jar. I use it when I make chicken and dumplings, that kind of thing. That's what that leftover jar is from, and I mean, they clean up really nice, and they're perfect for like a you know, the size of texture paste. Now, this does stay goopy, just like a paint. When you see it dragging around, that's the paint dragging around in it. This isn't a full jar. So, you know, every once in a while you want to open it up, stir it up, just to keep it fresh. Okay, so I have a jar here. I actually had a jar here too, but we're going to use this one. Okay, so I have my empty jar and my lid. I have a spatula, and this is we got this from, I got it from the Dollar Tree. It's $1. I do have a brayer that I use sometimes, but I picked this up. It was, I think, like $6 at Walmart. It is a silicone rolling pin, and it's really small tabletop wise, so I'm going to try using this today. I've been using my brayer, but I'm going to try to use this. And I need to lift this up because I can feel something under my mat. You want to make sure that, you know, you don't have any, any stuff up under your mat. I actually had, get out of there. It's running, it's sticking to my mat that's not supposed to stick, if that makes sense. Static electricity. Okay. Okay, so I have my mixing bowl. Again, I bought this at Dollar Tree for $1, so you can't beat that. I have my measuring cups that I bought at the Dollar Tree. This is 1/8 of a cup. That's what I'm going to be using today. And I have my teaspoons, my measuring cups, which again I bought for $1 at the Dollar Tree. Okay, this is simple. You're not going to need a lot. You're going to need water. I'm using bottled water. I don't like to use tap water because I don't know what bacteria or whatever might be in the pipe. So I always use bottled water. If you don't have bottled water to use, boil your water. Let it set and cool. It needs to cool completely. What I would do is boil my water, let it sit in the pan and cool. You know, if you want to do a lot of it, dump it into a canning jar, put the lid on it, and then you've got some ahead of time if you need it. So you need some water. You need glue. I'm using Elmer's Glue All because this happened to be what I have. You can use any white glue. Not Mod Podge because Mod Podge has water already in it. So you're going to be adding way too much water if you do that. You can use tacky glue, Elmer's School Glue. If you're crazy, you can use art glitter glue. I would never waste my art glitter glue on DIYs. That's just, it's too expensive. So yeah, I usually use the generic school glue, but I'm actually going to use Elmer's Glue All today because that's what I have. I found it on clearance, so it works for me. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and open up the lid of my glue just to make sure it's sort of loose. You will also need some, yeah, hold on a second, guys. I'm coming up with it. Acrylic paint. I'm using white. You do not have to use white. I'm using white today because I want to make a, you know, a larger batch so I have it. You know, I want a larger batch made so I have some ahead of time. If you want to make a small batch, you can use color, and, you know, and make just what you need for that project. Or, you know, have a canning jar with, or whatever kind of storage jar you have, with every single color if you want. That's up to you. This is what I do. Then I'm using, you know, when we like, you can use toilet paper, but right now I'm not using toilet paper. We went to Walmart last night. We couldn't even find toilet paper. There was no toilet paper in the store whatsoever. It was crazy. And we didn't need it because we were stocking up. We needed it because we needed it. So we actually ended up having to drive around to find some. When we pull our napkins off, when we do, oh wow. Yeah, we use Mod Podge and we, yeah, anyway, I'll think of it here in a second. It just slipped my mind, guys. I am so sorry. Yeah, and we always have those tear-offs off the back of our napkins. These work perfect. Or if you just have a plain white nap, you know, a plain, you know, the generic, you know, if you want some just for this, and you don't want to keep rolls of toilet paper around, go buy the super generic, the most cheapest white napkins you can buy, like at the Dollar Tree or whatever, for $1. And that's what I do. For $1, I just get a pack, and if I don't have any backs, and then you have it, then all you're going to do is you're going to take it and you're going to shred it up the best you can, and just pull it into pieces, throw it in your, and what I do is, well, I just pull them apart. Like I'm going to use 4, and you can use as much as you want. You know, just beware that when you measure, that changes your recipe, and I'll show you in a minute. So, I mean, if you have too much, well, I'll show you in a minute what I mean, but I'm just throwing these in there for now. If you have leftover, you can, like if you shred too much and you have too much paper towel or toilet paper or tissue, you could probably use Kleenexes. Do not, if you use Kleenexes, use anything that has lotion in it, because those chemicals will react differently with glues and things like that. You know, so whatever you're using, if you tear up too much, store it in a baggie. It's already tore up for the next time. You're not hurting yourself any by tearing up too much. But that gives us another use for, you know, all of that, you know, the napkins when we're Mod Podging onto envelopes and things like that. You know, we always have those napkin backs that sit around and you always wonder what in the world to do with them. This gives you something. Now, I will caution you, it depends on what you want. Now, if you don't care, now, and I'm the type of person, if I'm going to do a white, I really don't care if the back of my napkins have some print on them. Some of that dye will leach into it sometimes. If it's really dark, you know, you may get an off color or whatever. That doesn't really bother me because I sort of want to have that natural looking paper. Now, I will be doing a couple other videos. I'll be doing a one with that, you know, shows you how to color it above and beyond. You can use the colored paint and color it if you want to. But I like making up just big batches of the white, and then from there I can color it. You know, and like I said, I do have some other texture paste videos coming out. And, you know, if you're sort of going, well, you know, most texture pastes you apply ahead of time. This is a different type of texture paste. This is a, you know, if you're doing an art project, you know, obviously you can add the texture to it and, you know, let it dry overnight or whatever. If you're in a journal or whatever, I would make it ahead of time. That's just me. Unless you want to, you know, like I said, I wouldn't, because I wouldn't want the leaky water to come through. Okay, so I have that. So I'm just going to squish all this up and take it out of my bowl, because I'm going to use this, like I said again, this is an 1/8 of measuring cup. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that in there. I'm not going to fill it all the way up, as good as I can get it close. Then I'm going to pour just a little bit of water in. Not a lot, just a little. Sort of push it in there. Push it down so I know all of it gets in there. Then I'm going to put some more in there. And keep pushing it down. And you're going to keep adding that. And, you know, you may have to add a little bit more water. That's fine. And if you make a mess, you have a napkin right there to wipe it up with. So I just keep sort of pushing and making sure that water comes out on top, because then you make sure that it's all wet. And I'm going to do that till I get, you know, this 1/8 of a cup pretty full. Or close to it. And you're just going to keep pushing that in there and make sure you top it up with some water if you need it. Okay, like mine's getting pretty full there, so I'm going to go ahead and dump it in to my bowl. And it'll glump out. Then I'm going to put the rest of this in there, and I'm going to go ahead and add this, just because I don't want to have to deal with the leftovers. So I'm just going to add, so there's not really a recipe with this. Well, there is, but it's not like you have to put so much. So I'm just going to add that till it's nice and wet. That's good. Okay. Oops. Let me put my lid on my water before I dump it. And again, you know, I have some water on there, so I can use my napkin, wipe it up, set my napkin over there, let it dry, and I can use it again next time. So after it's in here, I'm going to take my hands in here and just sort of, you know, pull it apart really good into smaller pieces if I need to. It's all squishy. And that's what I'm going to do, is just go through and sort of pull it apart where it's, you know, we pushed it all down in there because we compacted it pretty good. So we're just going to okay. Then we're going to come in with our measuring cup, and I'm going to add my paint first. And I think this will, I have enough in here. Oop, it splattered over. And I'm going to do about 1/2 of a cup. So basically, the recipe, which isn't really a recipe, it's more of a sort of really close guesstimate because it doesn't have to be exact. You're going to do, let me grab my big bottle of paint. You're basically going to do 1/2 of your container of paint. And again, I'm not going to worry about too much like that because I'm going to cover it anyway, and it'll all clean off. It is all washable. And then 1/2 a container of your glue. And I put just a little bit extra of both in there because I did have that extra little bit in there. Then I'm just going to scrape out. Okay, let me set this over here to the side so I don't get it everywhere. Get the paint off my fingers, which I always end up everywhere anyway. Then I'm just going to take and I'm going to sort of stir it up in my paint. Now, as I'm stirring it up, I'm not just stirring. I am taking the mixture I have, and I'm sort of pushing it down, which is sort of breaking all the fibers down in that paper. You're going to stir really good. Now, here is, if you have carpal tunnel, arthritis, you know, things like that where you have a really hard time. And I'm just sort of smashing that up so it's breaking all that fiber up. If you have something where, you know, you're going to have a hard time using your hand a lot, you can use a mixer. I would suggest, you know, if you're going to do that and, you know, it's something you're going to be using, you know, maybe go to the Dollar Tree, dollar store, or something like that. Goodwill's, thrift stores, whatever. You see them all the time. You see the small hand mixers, and just, you know, put some money into purchasing one of those. Or, you know, even one of the old, you know, remember the old crank ones? I actually have one of those. I actually have two, I think. So you're just going to keep stirring that, just breaking down those fibers. So I'm going to pause this video really fast. I'm going to get my little hand mixer so I can sort of show you with the hand mixer, you know, what it does, so you can see that too. And I will be right back. This, like I said again, this is 1/8 of measuring cup. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that in there. I'm not going to fill it all the way up, as good as I can get it close. Then I'm going to pour just a little bit of water in. Not a lot, just a little. Sort of push it in there. Push it down so I know all of it gets in there. Then I'm going to put some more in there. And keep pushing it down. And you're going to keep adding that. And, you know, you may have to add a little bit more water. That's fine. And if you make a mess, you have a napkin right there to wipe it up with. So I just keep sort of pushing and making sure that water comes out on top, because then you make sure that it's all wet. And I'm going to do that till I get, you know, this 1/8 of a cup pretty full. Or close to it. And you're just going to keep pushing that in there and make sure you top it up with some water if you need it. Okay, like mine's getting pretty full there, so I'm going to go ahead and dump it in to my bowl. And it'll glump out. Then I'm going to put the rest of this in there, and I'm going to go ahead and add this just because I don't want to have to deal with the leftovers. So I'm just going to add, so there's not really a recipe with this. Well, there is, but it's not like you have to put so much. So I'm just add that till it's nice and wet. That's good. Okay. Oops. Let me put my lid on my water before I dump it. And again, you know, I have some water on there, so I can use my napkin, wipe it up, set my napkin over there, let it dry, and I can use it again next time. So after it's in here, I'm going to take my hands in here and just sort of, you know, pull it apart really good into smaller pieces if I need to. It's all squishy. And that's what I'm going to do, is just go through and sort of pull it apart where it's, you know, we pushed it all down in there because we compacted it pretty good. So we're just going to... Okay. Then we're going to come in with our measuring cup, and I'm going to add my paint first. And I think this will, I have enough in here. Oop, it splattered over. And I'm going to do about 1/2 of an 1/8 of a cup. So basically, the recipe, which isn't really a recipe, it's more of a sort of really close guesstimate because it doesn't have to be exact. You're going to do, let me grab my big bottle of paint. You're basically going to do 1/2 of your container of paint. And again, I'm not going to worry about too much like that because I'm going to cover it anyway, and it'll all clean off. It is all washable. And then 1/2 a container of your glue. And I put just a little bit extra of both in there because I did have that extra little bit in there. Then I'm just going to scrape out. Okay, let me set this over here to the side so I don't get it everywhere. Get the paint off my fingers, which I always end up everywhere anyway. Then I'm just going to take and I'm going to sort of stir it up in my paint. Now, as I'm stirring it up, I'm not just stirring. I am taking the mixture I have, and I'm sort of pushing it down, which is sort of breaking all the fibers down in that paper. You know, stir it really good. Now, here is, if you have carpal tunnel, arthritis, you know, things like that, where you have a really hard time. And I'm just sort of smashing that up so it's breaking all that fiber up. If you have something where, you know, you're going to have a hard time using your hand a lot, you can use a mixer. I would suggest, you know, if you're going to do that and, you know, it's something you're going to be using, you know, maybe go to the Dollar Tree, dollar store, or something like that. Goodwill's, thrift stores, whatever, you see them all the time. You see the small hand mixers, and just, you know, put some money into purchasing one of those. Or, you know, even one of the old, you know, remember the old crank ones? I actually have one of those. I actually have two, I think. So you're just going to keep starting that, just breaking down those fibers. So I'm going to pause this video really fast. I'm going to get my little hand mixer so I can sort of show you with the hand mixer, you know, what it does, so you can see that too. And I will be right back. Okay, well, I am back. I can't find my little hand mixer because, well, you know, I put it in my craft room, which means I may or may not ever see it again. So I'm just going to do it by hand. But you can use a mixer to do it. It does go a lot faster if you use a mixer, although it doesn't take a lot even by hand. If you need to, and you notice, you know, maybe it's not breaking down as fast as you would like, you know, that type of thing, you can add a little more water. I transferred to the big side because, you know, I'm getting twice as much done by using the big side. And you know, this, you know, the smaller you tear your pieces, you know, that's the more it's going to break down. I probably shouldn't have jammed it all in the bowl as hard as I did, but it is breaking up. And you can use gesso in replace of the white paint. So I'm going to pause this, mix this up really good so it's ready to go. And then I'll be back because I feel like I'm going to make you guys dizzy bouncing everything around. So let me pause this and mix this all up really good, and then I will be back. Okay, I am back. I'm going to move some of this stuff out of the way. I got it all mixed up. Let me paint back over here. Again, I got white paint over here, but I'm not worried about that because we actually have white paint in here, so you're gonna have to clean your mat after you get done anyway. And normally I would use a jar, but I'm actually gonna use this whole batch. So yeah, it does get really light and fluffy, almost like, oh, I don't know. I'm trying to think of what. Just very, I don't know. It is stringy because you have all the fibers, which is one of the cool parts about it. And I'm not sure what I would consider. It's just, the consistency is sort of like Cool Whip. A thick Cool Whip, I guess. And then what I'm going to do is, I'm literally going to keep just sort of, you don't want to really squeeze, you just sort of swipe it really lightly, and it'll, because if you go, it'll take off like that. So you just sort of keep sort of working it across, almost like you would, you know, I bet a cake spatula would work great for this. You know, I'm going to pause you guys again. I know I just brought you guys back. I'm going to pause you guys really fast again. And I'm going to grab my cake spatula that I use for cake decorating. Actually, I have extras. And I've never tried it. But as I'm sitting here trying to explain to you, I'm going, wait a minute, you know. That would probably work really well. So let me grab that and I'll be right back. Okay. I am back and I do have my cake spatula. So I'm just trying to sort of, right now, you have to be really gentle. And you can't really put pressure on it. If you put pressure on it, it tends to like go pants. So again, like I said, you know, you could use this for a lot of different things. You know, it's a fiber paste. So anywhere that you could use like paper, you know, you could use it. So you could use it for ephemera and all that kind of stuff. And I'm just keep trying to smear this out as much as I can without smashing it. So I'm just sort of sliding it along as easy as I can. I'm not putting any pressure whatsoever. Just literally, and that seems to work the best. Just sort of sliding it. You know, so if you have like a flat butter knife, case knife, or whatever, everybody calls them different things, but that would work. And it's just smearing it out every so just like you would if you were, you know, smearing butter on toast, but you know, you're not going to push, you know, and you don't want the bread to smash your bread. It's the same concept. Yeah, it does seem like that seems to work the best. Just sort of, I'm not really pushing, I'm just sort of sliding it along as it goes. And then what I'll do is I'll just stretch this out, you know, as much as I can, spread it out. And then when I come in to do, I do the next video, you'll see, you know, what it resulted in. You've already seen the brown, so I mean, at this point, if you want to hang in here while I spread it, that's fine. If not, you know, thanks for tuning in. I know some people, you know, just don't want to sit around and watch. As long as you have it connecting in areas, then it's gonna stick. I'm gonna try to, I'll go back through and, you know, try to sort of fill all these empty spots in places where I have some. I can go back over and, you know, just sort of move it around to try to have it where it's connected, fill those little spots in. There's actually like this really calming thing about doing this. I have no idea what it is. It's really weird. It's just extremely sort of calming to, I think, filling the holes up or something. It has like that sort of that you feel like you've completed something type feel or something. I don't know. Sort of like at the end of a project and you feel like you've and yeah, just keep sort of, you know, moving it around, moving it along. And again, you know, I want this basically for texture, not so much for paper, so I am going to, you know, try to make sure I have a little texture in there. And if, you know, if you're doing it and when it dries, you're trying to take it off, and it, do not try to take it off while it's wet. You'll think, oh, well, I'll just help it along. You won't. You'll rip it into pieces, just so you know ahead of time. You want to know how I know? Because I tried to rush it too. And that's exactly what happens, is it just rips and it tears if it's wet when you try to do it. So just be really, when it's dry, it comes off pretty easy. It's just more or less like pulling a fruit roll up, if you know what that is. I just like pulling anything off of parchment paper when it's finished, even though it doesn't technically stick on there. I don't know, it's sort of hard to explain. If you know what, you know, like fruit roll-ups are, where they make the like fruit leather and you have to pull it off, and it's slightly sticky. It's not super sticky, but it feels like, you know, where it's dried on there, it adheres. It's that same. that same feel or vibe, I guess. Okay, I'm actually going to turn my mat so I can work, you know, this direction. It doesn't seem to work well, did it? And you can come back, you know, let it set for a little bit and come back, and it does seem like it tightens up a little bit. Just beware that, you know, when it's not dry, it's going to move around, it's going to shift. You're not going to... Now, what I may try with, I want this for texture, so I wouldn't, but if you're going to do paper, what I would do is let it dry a little bit. You can come back and you'll feel the top is dry. It'll be sort of like puff paint, if you're familiar with puff paint. Ooh, that's what we should do a DIY on. That would be cool. I love puff paint. You can tell, you know, my age, but yeah, so, you know, it's going to be sort of tacky, but it will be dry. And, you know, there's a point where if you're watching it, like if you make it during the day, not, you know, I make mine at night before I go to bed and it just sets, but I mean, if you're making it during the day where you can come back and check on it, then yeah, you know, you could come back in with like your silicone, yeah, rolling pin. Woo, buddy. You can come in with your silicone rolling pin and, you know, flatten it out and, you know, get it a little bit maybe more level, not so textury. So yeah, I'm just gonna continue to set and work with this and spread it out, but that's basically it. So again, like I said, I will be back with another video and I will show you what to do with it after this. And you know, I'll probably put these as parts. This will be part 1. Part 2, let's see, this is Saturday. This won't dry today. Okay, maybe next week, so stay tuned. You know, if you don't want to make sure you don't miss it or whatever, make sure you just hit the bell on the little, you know, in the middle. Click on it, you'll hit the little bell. It'll ask you, you know, if you want to be notified, blah, blah, blah. It'll say whatever. You know, and if you hit all, it'll notify you when I upload. And that way you'll know, you know, when there's a new video waiting there for you. Yep. So that's actually pretty good to me because I actually want, you know, I want some holes. I don't want it all covered up. I mean, I could cover them all up. I don't want any really big, huge places because, you know, I don't want a chance I sort of want to keep it together. Yeah, so I will just set and sort of smooth it over. I don't want to sit and take your time all day watching me do this. You're probably like bored already anyway. But yeah, so I think I'm going to leave it at that. So I'm going to set it up, let it dry overnight, and I will be back in the next video. Well, I'll try to make the video tomorrow maybe. If I can get it up by Sunday, I'll try. If not, it'll be next weekend. Because I do my DIYs on the weekend. Yeah, so we will get that done. And yeah, you can just keep working with it, you know, until you're happy with it. You can already sort of feel it. It's not as tacky as it was. The top will dry. You will think it's dry because the top is dry. It is not. It has to dry all the way through. Let it set overnight. Or at least, I would say 3 or 4 hours. 5 at least. I mean, if you did like 8 o'clock in the morning, you could probably at 1 or 2 o'clock, you could play with it. And you'll be okay. Just to, you know, so you may want to start in the morning, early morning, if you want to play with it that afternoon. And like I said, next video we'll be back with some really cool techniques. And then after that, I actually have a couple other things you can do with this actual, with our fiber texture paste, things you can add, things you can do with it and manipulate it. Yeah, so we will be back soon. Have a great day. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the thing. Sorry, this one was sort of me because it takes so long to do this. So I hope I didn't bore you. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.